God. This might be a double digit. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Freight Experience. We are out here on the San Joaquin River Delta, and it is absolutely caked up with hyacinth. Not the ideal scenario for a jet. I got clogged 3 times just running to my starting spot. We got the bow. We're gonna do a little shooting today, hopefully, but I think I'm gonna start off with either a walking bait or a frog. And then I think throughout the day we're going to be picking up that punch and doing quite a bit of punch today because of all this hyacinth out here. So I'm excited, hoping for a good day. There's a lot of bait in the system right now. I'm able to see it peck the surface. It's actually running the surface. Maybe we get some striper. I don't know. Water's higher than it was last time, so that means we got some good water flowing in from the rivers that flow into this. So I don't know. It's either going to be good or bad. No in between. What happens. If you guys are looking for some rods or some reels, link description to my sponsor Lew's. Also down there will be a link for a company that you may not know, and that is Ego Fishing. If you're looking for an ice chest, they got you covered. They make a lot of great products, guys, like ice chests, backpacks, pliers, nets, accessories for your boat, balance beam boards for when those fish get super duper tight like McClure. Use code FREY at checkout. Let's get into fishing. If you guys are looking for a perfect setup to throw frogs, punch, swim baits, glide baits, I really recommend this 711 Super Duty Lew's Speed Stick. This thing is an absolute beast, but yet it has an absolute soft tip for that great bend when you set on those fish. And you're not just swinging and just getting stuck. You're actually able to follow all the way through. And that's why I think this right here is an absolute must-have to have in your arsenal. And I'll tell you guys right now, after switching to this rod, with it being a 711, I'm able to cast this frog a country mile. And with it being that longer rod and that really nice soft tip for the first couple of guides, it has severely improved my hookup ratio with frog fishing. A couple of you guys have hit me up asking about this rod, and I gave you the pros and cons like every rod will have. And not a single one of them, after getting out on the water and catching some fish, has a complaint. I know some of you have said you've been able to cast farther, your shoulder's not hurting because of how light it is, and I know a couple of you have said that your hookup ratios have improved once you switch to this rod. A couple of you guys have hit me up asking about this rod, and I gave you the pros and cons like every rod will have. Gotcha. Oh, he popped off. No. That was a big one too. That was probably about a 15-pounder, give or take. right. When it gets hot and a lot of people start punching and you start finessing them, switch on over to the Magnum Rage Menace right here, guys. Strike King. When it gets hot and a lot of people start punching and you start finessing them, switch on over to the Magnum Rage Menace right here, guys. Strike King. Oh my god! Giant. This was the last cast of the day, guys. Oh my god. Oh my god. This might be a double digit. Back. Oh my god. Oh my god. Could this be my first double digit on the Delta? Oh my gosh. Guys, look at that. 7.6 heavy Lew's custom speed stick paired up with a Magnum Rage Menace. This is what I've been slaying these fish on. And look at that absolute Delta giant. I don't think she's gonna go 10, but she might be a 7-8 pounder. Freaking 803. Well, guys, the fishing gods blessed me with a biggin. Let's get the highest out of her mouth. I want to make sure she's gonna be nice and healthy and ready to go. She's been out of the water for a little bit. Whenever, especially in the summertime, guys, when you get these big ones, really take care of them. Make sure that they get a lot of water in there. Get water going. There she goes. Well, that's my biggest of the year. I almost thought when it came up that it was going to be a double digit, but an 803. I love it. It's great. This is why you fish the Delta. This is why the Delta is always in the top 10 and frequently on the top 5 for one of the greatest fisheries in the world. That made my day. And the funny thing is I wasn't even gonna come out today. I didn't even set an alarm. It was, if I woke up and I was gonna go. That is absolutely insane. Guys, here's some tips for you if you're getting into punching. Today I'm punching hyacinth. There's a lot of it right here. That's great overhead cover and the feeding opportunity for fish, because what this is supposed to mimic is a craw falling through, because most of the times those fish are underneath it for shade and they're looking up because crawdads and stuff are crawling upside down. So what you're basically mimicking is a crawdad that's fallen off and jetting down towards the bottom. I am flipping 1 1/4 just because I want to get through, especially if there's some thicker areas where the tide or wind has pushed this hyacinth up and it's gotten really dense. When you're punching a heavier weight like I am, I like to keep my thumb on the drag, on the spool to slow it down, because if not, that thing's just like, and you're not really giving it a chance for a not so active fish to eat. And then finding the right bait. This year I've been punching 2 baits, both made by Strike King. If you hit those links in the description, you will be able to purchase some, and then of course get a discount using code FREY, F-R-E-Y, all caps. Number 1 has been the Rage Menace in the Magnum. I throw it in 2 colors on the Delta, and that is Falcon Lake Craw and Crawdaddy. And then the other one is the Rage Punch Bug, and I throw those in the same color as well. Yes, you could cover a lot of water punching. Personally, I don't mind spending a couple seconds in a cast, because that's the difference of getting a big one or not. I like to lift up till I hit the structure that I'm punching and then let it fall back down, and do that a couple of times, because normally they'll hit it immediately on the fall, but if they're not, and they're not want to be too active. You gotta let it hit there. You kind of gotta play with them a little bit. Shake it, pop it. You see a lot of guys, you know, just flip, boom, hits the bottom, lift up, and then they reel in. I don't like to do that, especially because I've gone, you know, days where I've just blown through areas and not gotten bit, and then I'll go back through it later in the day and we'll fish it just a little bit slower, give those fish a little bit more of a chance to come over and eat it. And that's the difference of catching one fish or none fish, especially if you're a tournament fisherman. Yes, you could cover a lot of water punching. Personally, I don't mind spending a couple seconds in a cast, because that's the difference of getting a big one or not. A few questions I've got from you guys, and this is gonna be the chance for me to answer it, because maybe it'll answer other people's questions as well. And it is, when is the best time to punch? There's times where I'll punch first thing in the morning, because it's a specific spot, whether it's if I caught fish in a tree and now that tree is covered in hyacinth, I have to flip that tree. Of course, the bite's always going to be a little bit better, or sometimes a lot better, depending on the tide and the time of the day. You know, these fish are underneath this for the shade, because fish aren't like us. They don't have the ability to wear sunglasses, so this is their way of wearing sunglasses and to cool off a little bit. You know, on the Delta, there's a lot of different grasses and structure to punch. You know, you got your typical grass that just mats up, and then you got isolated grass patches, stalks, then you have folded over tules, you have hyacinth, you have vines. There is a lot of stuff to punch, even trees. I will, instead of throwing a Texas rig in there, I will throw either an archy head jig or a flipping jig, or an actual punch setup, and let that tungsten beat the ever-living heck out of that wood to make as much noise as possible. And that right there could sometimes be the difference of catching fish and not catching fish. Because, you know, this body of water could either be an absolute blessing, where you go out there and you smack the biggest bag you've ever caught doing what you want to do, or it's going to absolutely screw you over and you're going to either get skunked or catch one fish and you had to throw a Senko or a drop shot to catch it. And that's why me and the Delta have a love-hate relationship. She mostly hates me, but she will throw every angler the opportunity at an absolute giant, and possibly biggest fish of your life. And one of my biggest tips I could give you guys is probably one of the simplest. Do not be afraid to go behind someone that just got done punching a stretch that you want to punch, or a specific spot. That's my biggest tip I could give you guys, strictly because when it comes to punching, there's times where you have to drop it on that fish's head. And then there's times where that fish is going to be active and it's going to come eat it. If you roll up to a spot and someone just fished it and they didn't catch anything, or you saw them catch a couple, don't be afraid to go and fish behind them after they left, or even follow them up. But of course, don't get too close, because you never know. They might have missed a 5 to 10 pounder because they didn't drop it on his head, and you could get lucky enough to drop it on his head. I've done it before.